try and get down here. All right. So last time I rode the bike was about 3 months ago now on roads like this. These are legit water crossings. I mean, that was the deepest water I've ever taken this bike through. And when I got home, the bike was smoking like this. Now at first I panicked because I thought I'd blown a ring, and then it occurred to me that I'd put the wrong oil in the bike. I used the oil for the 390 Duke, thinking any oil's better than none, but it turns out that the oil was too thick for the rings to scrape, I think. So I haven't even started the bike up yet. I don't even know if the battery's got enough power to crank. As I say, it's been 3 months since I've ridden it. So today I'm going to just drop the oil out. I'll put a picture up of the heads up. I did such a small distance on the bike on that oil that the tank's still showing full. So I doubt that I've done any permanent damage. Okay. Now, I am struggling to do this today because if you've been following the channel, you know I've been diagnosed with blood clots in the legs and lungs. So I'm not having the best time of it right now. So I need to spend as little time crouched down as I can. So while that's draining, I suppose I can have a little chat. You can hear how out of breath I am. You can hear how out of breath I am just from doing that, because of course I do have blood clots on my lungs too, which means normal everyday things like changing the oil, walking up and down those stairs leaves me out of breath pretty quick. So, but I've been dying to get back out here and start playing with that bike again, because I've been stuck in bed for 6 weeks basically, and I've been itching to get that oil changed. There we go. The bike is still caked in mud from my last ride, so I thought if I'm feeling up to it today after changing the oil, I'll take it down to the car wash and put the high pressure hose on and try and clean some of this mud off a little bit. I've got the GoPro pointing at the oil there, so that should give me something to put in the bottom corner of the screen, because I'm also doing a filter change. So this bike calls for the 10 weight 50, and for the past year and a bit now I've been using 10 weight 50. I said this bike needs 10 weight 30, and that using the 10 weight 50 has left the oil always looking a bit discoloured. I'm really out of breath here, bear with me. So that's pretty much finished draining up there. So the bike has done just shy of 12,000 kilometres, which means I've barely done any riding this year. I clocked up that 10,000 kilometres surprisingly quickly. Nice, not horribly coloured oil at least in there. Gather our spring. I'm going to need my pliers. I should have thought about this. I'll have to check my book. I'm not sure when my last filter change was, but I'm positive it's been more than a year. All right. That is looking like it well needs a proper change. Oh dear. Okay, rubber side always goes in. Boop. Then we get our spring. Boop. Now this cap only goes on one way, so you physically can't get it wrong. My advice is to just always keep the pressure on that spring until you've got these at least threaded in by hand. You don't want anything popping out in there. And I won't lie, this is really hurting my legs right now. When threading into aluminium, it really doesn't matter. Well, it does matter, the torque. You don't need to really wrench on it. It is finger tight and then about half a turn, and that is spot on. Any more than that, and you're just going to pull the threads out of that aluminium. I haven't managed it on this bike, but I've done it on plenty of the old two-strokes when I was learning. So this has finished pretty much dripping. So I'll just go and deal with that. I can go in the bin. Oh dear. So I'm just going to come around quickly to this side and put my sump plug back in. That is all the tooling over and done with. Not that you can see what I'm doing back here. I eyeballed this oil and I took 800 mil out, which is, I'm pretty good at eyeballing this by now. But I need to do first is get rid of all the waste oil. Never know, this still might be good enough for the lawnmower. Now I'm looking at the colour here. It's a nice and healthy oil colour, which is something I haven't seen in this bike for a fair while. But having said that, I was using 10 weight 50 instead of 10 weight 30 in this bike for over a year. Incidentally, it was ever since I first did the clutch change at 7,500 kilometres. So what, we've done an extra 4,000 Ks since then. All right, so the amount of oil that you put in without the amount of oil you put in without doing a filter change is 800 mil. With a filter change, it's 900 mil. And if you split the case, as in doing the clutch plates, it's a litre. So you've got a bit of wiggle room either side, but just for accuracy's sake, we're going to pour in 900 mil. Okay, easy does it. This is not exactly a level surface I'm working on here. That will be plenty. That's about just 850 thereabouts, just under 900. Make sure that there's no shit in there. Now, it's not exactly a level surface here, but it's always a good idea just to double check the stick. That is very topped up, 900mm. Now, at this point, it's always a good idea to wipe the surfaces, the sealing surfaces, because when I'm checking it for leaks, I want to make sure I'm not looking at old oil. All right. So, GoPro, point at my exhaust, please. Here's where we find out if the battery's even got enough poke. 3 months since its last start. I know at least the ignition comes on. All right, let's go Honda. Made for it. Now the thing is, because of the modifications that I made to the throttle body, it does not have a fast idle control valve. It's got a manual one where the idle's set for when the bike is warm. So when the bike first turns on, I've got to treat it like an old bike basically and just feather the throttle to keep the RPM up, and it should be idling at about 1500. So it's still dropping a little bit low here, so we'll just feather it up. Now I'm not seeing piles of smoke coming out of the exhaust, and in fact it looks perfectly clear here, which is good. The reason I didn't want to warm the bike up first was I didn't want fresh oil above the rings that might not have been scraped properly. I'll bring this up here. GoPro's not great at close-ups, but as we can see, the tank is still reading as full. 11,200, and wait, is that trip A? I've read that wrong. Ignore everything I said about the odometer. The bike has done 15,857 kilometres. Yeah, don't listen to me what I was thinking. That trip, that's what I read out before. That's how long I've been running with the Yamanashi upgrades on. So just over 1,000, just over 1,100 kilometres with all the Yamanashi upgrades. And our idle is reading very healthy now. All right, let's go. Bit of smoke, to be expected. That's not oil smoke though, that just smells like fuel. That's nothing to write home about, really, is it? All right. Before I even think about taking the bike around on the street, I've got to at least make sure I can get it around the yard, right? The question is less about my ability to remember how to ride than it is about how sore my legs get, because it is quite a strain pushing this bike around, especially uphill. Oh, got on it all right. The act of sitting on the bike and just riding it is not what worries me. What worries me is if I drop it and I have to pick it up or walk it anywhere. I tell you what, that CRF125 clutch is brilliant. That is blowing clear, at least at idle, which is good. It means I haven't completely stuffed it up. Just a little bit of black smoke, which is fine, that's just fuel. It's not that hot today, it's about 20 degrees maybe, even if that. Whoop. But I'm sweaty and out of breath because blood clots. I'm just going to let that sit here and idle and have a bit of a charge because it has been 3 months since it's run. No issues starting though. Now, I've heard someone say that the new CB125F with the TFT screen goes flat after half an hour. I need to put air in those tyres. Then I think, yeah, I'm going to go and gear up and see how I go, taking it for a ride into town, giving it a wash, bringing it back. And yeah, I'll put that in a different video because this is already long enough. Yeah. We'll give it a much needed wash because this thing is absolutely filthy. All right, wish me luck. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the very next one.